Tutankhamun was a battle-hardened warrior and not merely a sickly boy king, new research suggests. Specialized photography uncovered signs of battle scars on the 18-year-old pharaoh's 3,000-year-old leather war armor. Welcome. Was Tutankhamun a warrior king? Well, according to Lucy Ann Skinner, a doctoral student at the University of Northampton and the British Museum, who took part in the assessment, the hypothesis of Tutankhamun being a warrior is just one possibility. By that degree of deduction, another possibility can just as easily be put forth: the armor was worn by a different person. But one factor, according to Skinner, is almost certain: the armor was used for protection during the ancient times, as opposed to it being interred as a showcase, funerary object. The conclusion was reached by examining the RTI image that showed signs of abrasions found on the edges of the armor's leather scales. Simply put, the researchers have noted that these marks were probably caused during the ancient times, contrary to the possibility of the abrasions being caused by the damage to the armor when it was originally discovered. This is because the marks are specifically found along the edges. As Skinner clarified, if the abrasion had occurred after excavation, I would expect it to be found all over the scales, not just the edge. Furthermore, the researchers also studied the original photograph of the warrior armor after it was found in the 1920s. They deciphered how the leather was a bit stretched and had a torn seam, both of which suggests the wear and tear of the panoply before it was even discovered. Interestingly enough, murals on the tomb of Tutankhamun depict the teenage pharaoh wearing his armor and riding into the battle on a chariot, along with scenes of him hunting wild animals. But taking the root of history, such portrayals can be deceiving. For example, even ancient Egyptians' records are sketchy when it came to the foreign policy of the realm's most celebrated king, Ramesses II, or Ramses, concerning the Libyan tribes, who were attested as the Libu or Rib in Egyptian. So while there are generalized accounts of how Ramses conquered and crushed many of these nomads, some of them were possibly propaganda measures or records that juxtaposed or confused the feats of the renowned pharaoh with that of his predecessor and his father, Seti I. Similarly, the most famous military encounter during Ramses' lifetime arguably relates to the Battle of Kadesh, fought between the ancient Egyptians and Hittites of Anatolia. And while two Egyptian sources, the poem of Pentor and Bulletin, proclaimed a resounding Egyptian victory, modern assessment has suggested how the conflict rather ended in a draw, thus leading to what is considered as the world's first known official peace treaty. In other words, Ramses, like many of his contemporaries, was prone to exaggerating his military achievements, with the propaganda playing its practical part in bolstering the centralized control of the Egyptian state by the ruling class. So it should not come as a surprise when such rulers are depicted in a favorable light inside their monuments and tombs, which could have varied from their real appearances and actual achievements. As for the mystery of the warrior armor of Tutankhamun, the researchers are looking forth to gain more insights by analyzing the potential crafting process of the tunic-like cuirass. As Skinner said, the ancient methods used for making this type of leather are not really well understood. Materials will invariably change chemically and physically after being buried for thousands of years, so there are a lot of complicated scientific processes involved in finding these things out. And lastly, in case you are interested, controversially enough, in 2014, King Tut went through what can be termed as virtual autopsy, with a bevy of CT scans, genetic analysis, and over 2,000 digital scans. The resulting reconstruction was not kind to the physical attributes of the ancient Egyptian pharaoh, with emerging details like a prominent overbite, slightly malformed hips, and even a club foot. Thanks for watching.